Dromornis was a genus of large to gigantic flightless birds that lived in Australia from the Oligocene to the Pleistocene epoch. These birds were incapable of flight, with vestigial wings and massive legs. While they resembled modern emus and ostriches in appearance, they are believed to have been predominantly, if not entirely, herbivorous browsers. The male of the largest species, Dromornis stirtoni, is considered one of the tallest and heaviest birds ever known and may have exhibited aggressive territorial behavior. They belong to the extinct bird family Dromornithidae, commonly referred to as mihirungs, a word from the Aboriginal Chap-Wuring language meaning giant bird. The family includes 8 known species across 4 genera: Dromornis australis, Dromornis murrayi, Dromornis plani, formerly Bullacornis plani, Dromornis stirtoni, Ilbandornis, Barawartornis, and Genyornis. The genus name Dromornis derives from ancient Greek, dromos, running, and ornis, bird. It was established by Richard Owen in 1872 based on a femur found 55 meters deep in a well at Peak Downs, Queensland. Evolutionary placement and relationships. Although Dromornis looked like giant ratites, such as emus, they are more closely related to early waterfowl, anseriforms, or basal galliforms. Endocranial studies show their skull and beak structures shortened over time. They evolved as solitary monotypic species, each arising in succession and increasing in size. Their lineage progressed from D. murrayi, D. plani, D. stirtoni, D. australis. Colloquially, these birds have been referred to as thunderbirds or even demon ducks, emphasizing both their size and evolutionary ties to waterfowl. Species overview. Dromornis murrayi, the earliest known species, Oligocene to early Miocene, 26 to 16 million years ago, stood about 1.5 meters tall and weighed around 250 kilograms. Described in 2016 based on cranial and postcranial remains from Riverslea, Queensland. Had tiny wings, 10 to 15 centimeters, hidden under feathers. Brain cavity was exceptionally small. Researchers jokingly noted they were much sillier than chickens. Dromornis plani existed in the Middle Miocene and coexisted with large marsupials like Neohelos and crocodiles like Baru. Fossils found in Bullock Creek, Northern Territory. Though its beak was narrow and weak, some hypothesize it could have had omnivorous or carnivorous tendencies. Others classify it alongside herbivorous dromornithids, supported by the presence of gastroliths. Dromornis stirtoni, among the largest birds known, 3 meters tall and 500 to 650 kilograms. Discovered in 1979 by Patricia Vickers-Rich at the Alcuda fossil beds in Central Australia. Fossils date to the late Miocene to early Pliocene. Lived in semi-arid open woodlands near lakes and waterholes. Anatomical features, wide blunt beak, hoof-like feet, suggest herbivory. Eggshell amino acid analysis supports this, although strong skull and beak morphology suggest possible occasional carnivory. May have engaged in aggressive behavior during mating or territory defense. Dromornis australis, once considered the smallest species until D. plani was described, known from fossils in Pliocene deposits, described by Richard Owen in 1872 based on a 12-inch femur recovered from a deep well. Richard Owen initially suspected that Australian fossils might belong to Dromornis, moas from New Zealand. However, the femur from Peak Downs convinced him otherwise, and he established Dromornis as a new genus. The well where the femur was found had been dug through 30 feet of alluvial soil and 150 feet of gravel and boulders. The bone had become so mineralized with calcite and iron pyrite that it resembled reptilian rather than avian bone in structure. Another specimen, possibly linked to Dromornis, was a partial synsacrum found in a gold mine in Golgong. While some features resembled Ilbandornis, it might represent a continuation of a smaller Dromornis lineage into the Pliocene. Ecology and extinction. These birds thrived in open woodlands and floodplains of prehistoric Australia, often tethered to water sources, a behavior inferred from the high fossil concentration around ancient waterholes. It is widely accepted that Dromornis stirtoni was primarily herbivorous. However, debate remains due to its massive skull and strong beak. While it may have occasionally scavenged, the lack of talons, blunt beak, and hoof-like feet all point toward a plant-based diet. Several factors likely contributed to their extinction. Competition. Overlapping diets with other large herbivores may have created ecological pressure. Reproduction. Long lifespans and slow maturation may have reduced their ability to recover from population declines. Climate and habitat changes during the late Pliocene and human arrival may have also played a role. Despite this immense size, Dromornis was herbivorous, not a predator. It was flightless, with thick and powerful legs adapted to support its heavy body. Its closest modern relatives are thought to be waterfowl, such as ducks and geese, though in appearance, Dromornis more closely resembled a prehistoric emu or ostrich. The first fossil remains of Dromornis were discovered in the late 19th century, and the genus was officially named in 1896 by the renowned English paleontologist Richard Owen, who also coined the term dinosauria. Since then, more complete skeletal remains have been found in areas such as Alcuda and Bullock Creek in Australia's Northern Territory. These discoveries revealed a variety of species within the genus, including the largest known species, Dromornis stirtoni, which is considered one of the heaviest birds to have ever lived. Physical characteristics, speed, and lifestyle of Dromornis. 1. Physical structure, anatomy. Dromornis was truly a giant among birds. Its skeleton was extremely robust, especially the leg bones, which were very thick, indicating adaptation to support its massive body. This bird could grow up to 3 meters, 10 feet tall, and weigh as much as 650 kilograms, 430 pounds, making it heavier than an ostrich or even a polar bear. Its skull was large, and though it lacked teeth, it had a strong and enormous beak, over 1/2 meter long, designed for crushing tough plant material. Interestingly, the shape of this beak once led researchers to speculate that Dromornis might have been carnivorous. However, further studies, including analysis of jaw muscles and tooth wear patterns, confirmed that it was fully herbivorous. It likely fed on leaves, fruits, and hard vegetation. Its wings were extremely small and unsuitable for flight, clearly indicating that it was completely flightless. However, its strong legs suggest that it could travel long distances on foot in search of food and water. Number 2. Speed and movement. Due to its enormous size and short, thick legs, Dromornis was not a fast runner. It likely moved steadily and calmly, but much slower than modern flightless birds like ostriches or emus. Estimates suggest it had a top speed of around 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, 12 to 18 miles per hour, sufficient to evade slow-moving predators, but not built for sprinting. Its movement was probably strong yet deliberate. Its height and bulk may have allowed it to access food sources unreachable by other animals. Lifestyle and habitat. Dromornis lived in the wooded grasslands and open forests of ancient Australia. During the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, the climate gradually became drier and more seasonal. Dromornis adapted to this environment as a likely nomadic herbivore, moving from place to find edible vegetation. It may have lived in small groups or possibly led a mostly solitary life. Fossil evidence suggests it coexisted with other large marsupials, reptiles, and early birds. Despite its size, Dromornis had to remain cautious, as large prehistoric crocodiles and giant reptiles still posed threats, especially to young birds. Diet. What did Dromornis eat? Although Dromornis had an extremely large and deep beak that looked strong enough to crush bones, it was not a carnivore. Detailed analysis of its jaw structure, muscle attachments, and wear marks on its beak has shown that it was a herbivorous bird. What kind of plants did it eat? Leaves from bushes and trees? Fruits, when available in seasonal forests? soft shoots and tender branches, possibly tough, fibrous plants during dry seasons. Dromornis lived during a time of gradual climate change and increasing dryness. Because of this, it likely had to shift from forest vegetation to more open woodland or savanna plants. Its massive beak helped it crush and chew hard plant material, though this came at the cost of slow feeding and digestion. Like modern emus or ostriches, Dromornis likely had a large digestive system, helping it process large amounts of low-nutrient vegetation. Habitat. What kind of environment did Dromornis live in? During this time, Australia was gradually transitioning from lush, humid tropical forests to drier woodlands and grasslands. Forests with both trees for shade and open areas for movement. Seasonal climate with alternating wet and dry periods. Proximity to rivers, lakes, or waterholes, essential for survival. Shared environment with other large animals like marsupials and reptiles. These birds likely preferred mosaic habitats, areas that offered both vegetation for shelter and open space to move around. Fossil remains are often found in floodplain deposits, suggesting that Dromornis gathered near water sources during dry seasons. Reproduction. Did Dromornis lay eggs? Yes. Like all birds, Dromornis laid eggs. Although no fully preserved Dromornis eggs have yet been found, paleontologists are confident about their existence based on bird biology and evolutionary evidence. Reproduction facts, based on scientific comparisons. Dromornis, like modern ratites, e.g. ostriches, emus, likely laid very large eggs, possibly as big as or even larger than ostrich eggs, which are already 15 to 20 centimeters in diameter. It likely laid a small clutch of just 1 to 3 large eggs at a time. The eggs would have required several weeks of incubation, possibly by one or both parents, though it's still unclear which sex took on this role. Hatchlings were probably precocial, meaning they were born covered in feathers and able to walk shortly after hatching, but still vulnerable to predators. Because Dromornis was so large and slow to mature, it likely had a slow reproductive rate, making its population more vulnerable to environmental changes and threats. Why did Dromornis go extinct? Causes and lessons from the past. The extinction of Dromornis, especially the largest species like Dromornis stirtoni, is a complex event likely caused by a combination of environmental and ecological factors. Scientists estimate that this giant bird disappeared approximately 5 million years ago, during the transition from the Miocene to the Pliocene epoch. Let's explore the main causes and what lessons they offer. 1. Climate change and environmental shift. During the late Miocene and early Pliocene, Australia underwent significant climate changes. The formerly lush forested environments began to dry out, transforming into more open, arid, and seasonal landscapes. This shift drastically affected the vegetation that Dromornis depended on. Being a specialized herbivore, it likely relied on soft forest plants, and the loss of these food sources would have caused increasing competition and food stress. Dromornis couldn't adapt quickly to eating tougher, dry plants, migrating longer distances for food. As a result, habitat loss and changes in plant availability may have severely reduced their populations. 2. Ecological competition and pressures. As Australian ecosystems evolved, other herbivores like marsupials adapted better to the drier conditions. Early ancestors of kangaroos, wombats, and diprotodonts, giant plant-eating marsupials, may have outcompeted Dromornis for food. Also, while adult Dromornis was likely too large to be hunted, juveniles could have fallen prey to prehistoric crocodiles, carnivorous marsupials like Thylacoleo. Combined with slow reproduction and low survival rates of offspring, these pressures could have led to steady population decline. 3. Biological limitations. Although impressive in size, Dromornis had biological traits that became liabilities. Massive size with high energy needs, flightless and slow-moving, specialized diet. Such adaptations are excellent in stable ecosystems, but during rapid environmental change, they become a survival disadvantage. When food became scarce or climates shifted quickly, Dromornis couldn't adapt fast enough. 4. Was human activity involved? No. Dromornis went extinct millions of years before humans arrived in Australia. Therefore, human hunting, habitat destruction were not factors in its extinction. However, its disappearance helps scientists understand a broader pattern. Open quote. Large, specialized species are often the first to go extinct during environmental shifts. My personal conclusion. Dromornis, a giant and mysterious bird that once roamed ancient Australia. As I read and learned about it, I was fascinated not only by its lifestyle, but also by the reasons behind its extinction. Yet I wonder, is this bird truly gone forever? Perhaps it still survives in some remote, unexplored swamp or forest in Australia. After all, history has shown us that many animals believed to be extinct have unexpectedly been rediscovered. Scientists are confident in the existence of Dromornis based on fossil evidence. But sometimes I think maybe our understanding of this bird is still incomplete. In the future, with the advancement of technology, new discoveries might change everything we know about it. There is even a possibility, however distant, that it could one day be revived through biological reconstruction. That's why I draw this conclusion. Open quote. Dromornis is not just a giant bird from the past. It is a symbol of the intersection between science, nature, and imagination. It reminds us not only of the species we've lost, but also of the secrets still hidden in the natural world. Even when something is believed to be gone, nature often holds mysterious possibilities.